Solana is a great project, and it's a wonderful idea. It's a wrong one, but it's still wonderful.
It's not
but the wrong, well,
first in our kind of educational interview series with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Mitja Gorochevsky. How the devil are you, sir? It's been a good couple of months since we spoke. I assume life's treating you well?
Great, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, busy as always.
Life is life.
Okay, excellent. Well, I mean, as much fun as it would be just to catch up, I've kind of got you here for a reason. So, I recently reignited the awesome little podcast that we started over a year ago. And we've been speaking a lot to some intermediate to beginner level cryptocurrency entry people. And I mean, there's a lot of talk about Solana going on at the minute, particularly in relation to an area which you are, well, I mean, without blowing your trumpet too much, a bit of an expert. So kind of starting at the beginning, because as you know, I've been out of the loop a little bit myself for a couple of months. Why is everyone being so mean to Solana right now?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, there've been attacks, I think, on many different things in Solana and Solana itself. I'm not an expert in Solana per se. I'm not involved in the ecosystem whatsoever. I did talk to Anatoly and even participate in his podcast, but he never released this episode. I don't know why.
I'm guessing he didn't like what you had to say.
No, seriously, maybe. I mean, no. We seriously, we spoke about Bitcoin more than anything else. But anyway, I think I don't want to talk about Solana problems because in kind of in just a bad tone, because Solana is a great project and it's a wonderful idea. It's a wrong one, but it's still wonderful. but the wrong, well, okay. So just to put things in the perspective, the wrongness of this idea has nothing to do with the kind of security problems that it had. I would say, because first of all, because most of the security problems are not embedded in Solana. It's a security problems of different projects. For example, the recent one in August, right? And then when the 10 million were stolen from the wallet, it was two wallets, I think, that got affected by the bug in a secure supply chain, a software supply chain, which wasn't secure apparently. And that bug probably it's originated in the GitHub bug beforehand.
So just to slow you down a little bit, I know you like to, obviously you go on very big technical rants, but just to slow things down a little bit for the less advanced people out there, not myself, obviously. So can you just briefly define what is the software supply chain? And just very, very basically, what is GitHub in its essence, for those who aren't kind of, deep down the rabbit hole yet?
All right, I'll start with the easy thing. The GitHub is basically a place where you store your code. It's a cloud service. Git is a version control, which is the controlling the you're working on, when you work on software, you create many different versions of the same file, and you need to control all that development process. And to control that, Linus Torvalds created Git. He wrote this system. Before Git, it was many others, but Git is the most popular now. So this is the version control system. It's like a little bit like when you do docs and the revisions, so you have all the tracks of all the revisions you did before. Like you do that in the Google Docs. So that's something similar to that, just for code. Okay, just to make it very simple.
Yes.
GitHub is just a service to store and enable some collaborative features on top of that. So for example, it's not one developer who is developing the software, but many developers, they work collaboratively on the same code. Like in Google Docs, for example, again, when you edit and someone else sees that you edited that, these things. So basically the collaborative features on top of Git. And storing all that in the cloud and enabling this collaborative features is what GitHub doing. Now, the software supply chain is when you take the source code that you did, the software that you wrote, and then you put that through certain things, like through the events, until it goes to the end user. So when the
okay, so literally
that
from
you got on your
development to end user itself.
Yeah. Okay. So to make that, yes. Yeah. So to deliver the code, to the user as a software program, it has this. So it's called supply chain, the software supply chain. So you have this chain of events that involve many steps, and these steps are like taking the code, compiling the code, then taking the binary, which is the result, the end result, the executable file, let's say, put that in some sort of environment that you need to basically like package it for Windows, for example, in a certain way that Windows understands that this is a program, and then delivering it to the Windows platform, whatever distribution you use, like whatever app store or whatever store you have to get it to the user. All that chain of events, including like writing the software, then what we call CI/CD, there's something like the code delivery, code integration, and all of that's like chain of events until you get the software, right? Till you get the package.
Okay, so tying all these kind of ideas together, and obviously using just Solana as the kind of example there. So GitHub, in essence, it has the chains or the branches, I should say. They're called master branches on GitHub, if I'm not mistaken. And so these get merged together to
main.
To the main, etc. So where did the
what happened? Yeah, what happened there is that it's not only usually today when you write the software, you don't write the whole software yourself. You use a lot of third parties, open source, like libraries and so on.
Yeah, of course. I like to use analogies like Lego bricks.
You need to put all of these things together. So you take someone's third party libraries, right, and put that into your product. And that's where your software supply chain has potential, like every step of this road, you have potential security vulnerabilities because, for example, you cannot verify all the code that someone else has write in these libraries. So sometimes something happens to these libraries that someone, for example, inserted a malicious code in this library. So that's exactly what happened. Like someone inserted a malicious code in these other repositories, other code that your product, these two wallets that got affected, used.
So
and what this malicious code did, it basically, in the end, it took the user keys and sent it to the malicious server. Yeah, just like that.
Oh, God, I mean, you have to feel terribly for the people affected at the end of the day. But I mean, it's.
Just wanted to finish with Solana because it's kind of felt like So just to finish that, because I think there's, again, to put the things into perspective. So these things that happened to these two wallets, they had nothing to do with Solana. Of course, Solana had another problems before with like security on a more core level. But again, so this time is not, definitely not
I'll be honest,
related to any Solana issues.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, specifically we were talking about the Solana issues which were, related to the GitHub attacks. Yeah, I mean, Solana in itself, I mean, we made plenty of jokes on the last episode about the, I believe, I think it was myself who said, where did they touch you on the doll? But anyway, this isn't that type of show. Yes, I know, obviously, at its core, there are lots of people working very hard on the project, so I don't mean to, make light of anyone's work. But yes, leading into, Gosh, obviously, is the project name you're working under.
Yes. Yeah. So Gosh is a Git on chain. It's basically a service for storing the Git and collaborating on the Git like GitHub, but completely decentralized. Everything is stored on a blockchain. And what you achieve, two things you achieve with this. Actually, you achieve more, but two main things we like to emphasize always is first, is that you can build consensus around your code. Because when you add decentralization layer to this, right, you can then create DAO, you can do all tokenization of this and so on and so forth. Like everything that Web3 is giving you, you can now apply on a source level. So you work because the project is its source code. And people, of course, they don't really understand it because nobody cares, like that someone wrote the software. People just use it, right? But it's all starting from the source. And what happened recently to Tornado Cash, this is really interesting and very relevant also.
Yeah, please touch on that. This is something
because
that's come up a few times.
This is emphasizing this part of the story, right? So yeah, so Tornado Cash is these guys who I know personally, who developed this zero knowledge proof based. It's a cryptography system which completely basically preserves secret, like anonymity layer. Yeah. And they did this, put this in the smart contracts, put the smart contracts in Ethereum blockchain, and now everyone could basically use it for the privacy. Like, so the transaction that went through this system of smart contracts went like it was, these transactions were completely private. You could not verify the identity of the origination wallet and the receiver wallet.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happened is that, United States federal agencies got very annoyed for some reason by Tornado Cash, because there are many actually services like that. There is a whole blockchain that does that called Zcash, but for some reason they were annoyed particularly by Tornado Cash. Sorry. And they said that Tornado Cash was used by North Korean. By the way, this argument about North Koreans, I hear that every fucking time.
Yes, yeah.
And it's not that I hate North Korea government regime, whatever, and I hate all communists and all that. It's just a disclaimer. I'm definitely anti-communist, and yeah. So I'm in that respect, I'm completely siding with sentiment of United States government, where we should not allow these regimes to blah blah blah. But and here is a big but. But you cannot just use this to basically prevent people from privacy, from their right to privacy in democratic countries. And that's what happened. These are developers from democratic countries. And people who use that are people from democratic countries, and you cannot just start to because what they did really is exactly the same thing they did with banks before. Like for the last 10 years, the terror that the United States federal government put on the banking system is beyond imagination.
Well,
and many, me included, people got for the simple things. Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, sorry, I remember obviously the famous tweets by Julian Assange thanking the US government for such harsh sanctions on WikiLeaks accounts via Visa and the banks, because it meant they ended up taking all their donations in Bitcoin very early days, which is obviously what helped keep WikiLeaks going. So,
well, for WikiLeaks, you have this again. You have this controversy. So some people, for example, that completely siding with governments, can say, okay, WikiLeaks is like bad. We can also whatever.
He didn't look after his cats.
But I'm talking about much simpler. Yeah. But it's good, man. But we're talking about simple people, real people who could not execute a transaction. I could not send money to my mother. Like things like that. So I tried to buy a small apartment, and I couldn't go because they said, okay, we cannot in the bank, we cannot allow this transaction because your money originating in crypto, perfectly legal, all taxes paid, but it's just a Bitcoin.
And that's
it's a real story.
Yeah,
it's a real story, and because banks are so much afraid of this, potential sanctions. They don't even want to touch it. They don't even want to kind of start to, because, they're not detectives. So you cannot make banks detective. We spoke about that many times, I think. You can, and what is happening with Tornado Cash is beyond belief, because now they make developers of the software that someone uses liable.
Yes, I believe they arrested
how
him.
the software is used.
Yeah.
So this is...
It's unprecedented.
Yes, they arrested.
Really.
Yeah, they really arrested people for writing software that someone uses. Yes, this is a horrible precedent. Of course, it should be thrown away from the court. They should be beaten for that. Not maybe literally. but in the code, I mean, hard, beaten hard by the legal system. I hope, because this is just beyond imagination. I mean, this is really wrong. And so what happened is, first thing they did before arresting anyone, they just completely banned them from GitHub, the whole project. They just deleted the whole work this people did, just because someone said, oh, by the way, this is wrong. Boom, it's gone. There was no court rulings. There was nothing like that. GitHub completely just deleted that with one button. So when like that, Microsoft just deleted your code, deleted your life work, just because someone said it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I think this is definitely not going to happen anymore. Like, you should just abandon all the centralized platforms. By the way, that doesn't happen only on GitHub. I just got today's story 10 minutes ago, literally. Someone wrote to me that a man helped Ukrainian army and reported on that. He really drove. He lived in Germany, I think, in Berlin or something. He literally drove to Ukraine, delivered them help, like, some stuff to the army, to the people, whatever. And there are many of these. I don't know if you know, but there are literally thousands of people who are doing this. And he reported all that and put this report on Facebook. It's a real reporting, real stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
not fake news, nothing like that. He just showed what he did. Many people knows this man personally. Like, it's a completely verified. Deleted his account, 15 years old account, with all the photos just got deleted. One button, it's no longer on Facebook.
Censorship.
It's a real story. We cannot allow this to happen.
Yeah,
guys, we are Web3.
Yeah, amen to that.
On the blockchain, that's what blockchain should be preventing, right?
Rock on. Decentralize everything. Well, awesome, man. I mean, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on everything you're doing at Gosh, and hoping to get involved down the line myself, obviously, because, I miss your face, Mitja. I used to like working with you, buddy. But for now, I think that's an awesome place to wrap things up. We'll definitely have to sit down again and talk about a few more things, if you'd be willing to spare some time.
Anytime.
Yeah, fantastic. But all the best for now, buddy, and I will speak to you very soon. Have a great day. Oh, evening for you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.